Hello, my name is Karanisha, and welcome to our very first Foster Facts Live event. So, for those of you that don't know, the Community Based Care manages the foster and adoption system in Orange, Osceola, Seminole County. And so, we love on children who have been abused, neglected, or abandoned due to no fault of their own. And so, we find loving homes for them so that they're taken care of while they're getting a chance to go back to a safe home. So, some things that you would need to know about foster care. You can be single, you can be married, you can be widowed, you can live in a single family home, you can live in an apartment, you can live in a big house with a white picket fence. Whoever you are, we need you. Some things to know about our children. They come with different supports such as Medicaid, there's discount daycare for our children, and lots of different ways to get involved. So, what we need, right now there's a need for 100 foster homes. You heard me right, 100 foster homes for our children. And we realize that there are a lot of myths and misconceptions about what is foster care. So today, I have a couple of special guests. I have here Christina Wilson. She is a foster parent with the Community Based Care of Central Florida. And I have Evelyn Joaquin, who is a former foster youth. And they're here to talk about the ins and outs of the foster care system and just break it down for you guys, all right? Also, while we're talking, please feel free to write your questions in the comments section, and at the end, I'll give you an opportunity to answer those questions. All right, let's get started. Christina, so tell me a little bit more as to why you and your husband decided to come along this journey of being foster parents.
Well, we, as any typical young couple, we decided shortly after we got married that we were going to try to start our own family. We did try for about 3 or 4 years and unfortunately found that it just wasn't medically possible for us to do that. So we immediately thought to look into either fostering or adoption, and we kind of just naturally felt more inclined to foster. But we decided that as we were going through the process and fostering children, if a child came along in our home that eventually did go up for adoption and they were a right fit for our home, then we would make them a part of our family.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about your process.
The process is actually super streamlined. It was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. My experience was, just taking the 4-week Pride class, learned a lot. There was a lot of information. I got a lot of my questions answered right then and there. Shortly after, we started the licensing process. That's like the home study, the home inspection, background checks. That was super streamlined as well. And then right after that, we got our first placement.
Awesome. Christina mentioned some Pride classes. We have those starting as early as January. They'll either be 8 weeks or 4 Saturdays, so they're really quick. Mm-hmm. Now, Christina, tell me a little bit more about the assistance that you receive when you become a foster parent.
There are so many services out there to help, and that was something I was not expecting. There's daycare out there, there's foundations that help with funding, the kids have their own Medicaid, there's programs to help the teens get their driver's license and help find their first cars. Anything you could possibly need help with, it is absolutely there for you.
Awesome. In our system of care, our greatest need is teenagers, sibling groups, and children with disabilities. Those are our children that need the most love. And Christina, you and your husband exclusively work with teen boys.
Yes.
How did that happen?
We didn't originally plan it. We originally thought we were just going to take kids between 5 and 12 years old because we both work full time. But we took an overnight placement, a 13-year-old boy. Overnight turned into about 2 weeks before he needed to move, onto his next planned placement. And he just fit. We felt like we had a really good relationship with him, and we were able to help him. And so we wanted to try again. So we brought in an 18-year-old teenage boy, and it was just great from there.
That is awesome. And friendly reminder, everyone, please put your questions down in the comment section. All right. So Evelyn, tell us a little bit more about your experience when you left your home and came into the foster care system.
I define that experience as bittersweet. I would say bitter because I was separated from my siblings. It was myself, my brother, and my sister, and going to complete strangers. But what makes it sweet was being able to be loved and accepted by strangers that didn't know who we were, and to open their doors to us, and being in a safer environment, and knowing that I could go to school with clean clothes and, food and dinner is promised, and it made it a bittersweet experience.
Mm. So what would you say are some qualities that a foster parent must have in order to be excellent?
Qualities top 2 a foster parent should have in order to be excellent and excel in just that arena is love and acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's ideally what any child coming into care is longing for, especially when you're separated from your biological family. And in my case, my parents, were terminated. So it's just like, do anyone love me? Do anyone, accepts me? So to be placed in a home of a stranger that's loving me unconditionally and accepted me for who I am, just makes you feel just that warmth and just that belonging in that family. So ideally, if any foster parent have those 2 qualities, it makes them fit to do the job.
Mm-hmm. So what would you say is something that, for those out there in the world, what is something that they need to know about our kids that are in the foster care system?
We're just as normal as any other kid. We just come with a little more baggage and a little more wounds. And I love how you said it before in other panel sessions where anyone that's fostering or adopting, you're in a sense just really helping that child go through their pains and the trauma and everything that just their life had brought them into, the reasons that brought them into care. Yeah.
All right, again, guys, please put your questions down in the comment section. Okay, so I have one more question for you guys as a whole. What would be one piece of advice that you guys would ask or tell the audience if they're interested in being foster parents?
I tell people all the time, just simply jump in. Reach out to CBC, but if you have any questions or you're even having that slight inkling, just jump in and, go to a couple Pride classes and ask, because you're really not going to understand that experience until you really get in and start to get all of that information.
Okay. All right, we have some questions that are coming in. A question that was asked is, when are our Pride classes and where? We have a class starting on January 10th in Orange County. We have one starting on January 13th in Osceola County, and there's one starting January 23rd. Now, the locations of these classes, if you give us a call, we'll be able to give you that information after we do a brief questionnaire over the phone, and we will disclose that to you. So, for more information on that, you're going to give us a call at 1-866-90-CHILD. All right. Also, when these kids come into foster care, are you given a chance to meet them before they come to your home?
Absolutely. As a foster parent, you can basically, my husband and I, we figured out a way of a system that works for us. So especially because we take teenage boys, we like to have a big meeting ahead of time with all of the staff that are involved, and we get all of our questions answered about that child, and then we do schedule some sort of meet with the child to make sure that it is going to be a good fit, and then we can talk with the child, tell them what it's like to be within our home, and see if that's something that they want to do, because I never want a child to come into our home that just doesn't feel comfortable.
Okay. And are there any costs that are associated with becoming a foster parent?
With becoming a foster parent, no. Everything as far as background checks, fingerprinting, everything that I partook of, everything was paid for. I didn't have to whip out my wallet at all.
Mm-hmm. So let's say you and your husband have a vacation scheduled and you have this foster child in your home. Can you take them with you?
Absolutely. Even if it's in-state, that's great. And then if it's simply out-of-state, then, you just talk with the case manager and they get everything figured out for you.
Okay. If there is a family who has children already in their home, but they're interested in fostering, can they do that?
Absolutely. The more the merrier. A lot of times I hear that, people with biological children, those children bond really well with the foster kids, and they really show them how to be within a normal family and to kind of help them grow to, I guess they're kind of therapeutic in a way.
Mm. Now, Evelyn, you mentioned that, these kids have experienced some form of trauma, so there's some pain that's in there. Mm-hmm. And you also mentioned that your siblings came into foster care together, and I know that you guys were not placed together. Do you think that if you were placed in the same home, that would have changed your maybe thoughts and feelings while you were in the foster care system?
Yes, definitely. It would have made things a lot easier. Already we're separated from mom and dad, so to be separated from brothers and sisters make things a lot harder. So you deal with those questions of where's my brother, where's my sister, and it makes things much harder for the holidays and birthdays when they come around. So keeping sibling sets together should be a goal.
Absolutely, absolutely. So a lot of times we have individuals who work full-time. Can they be foster parents?
Absolutely. My husband and I, we both are full-time workers, 5 days a week, 40 hours a week, so it is absolutely possible.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit about the discounted daycare.
I haven't had too much experience with that since I take the teenage boys, but it's super simple. The case manager gets all that paperwork together, and you're able to pick out a daycare within your area, and then they'll try to accommodate you as much as possible.
Mm-hmm. Now, you all know Christina and her husband are both fostering, but as I mentioned before, you can be single. You can be divorced. You can be widowed. We will take you. If you're willing to love on our children, that is what we want. We want loving homes, loving people who are ready to take this journey to be team leaders and strong people for our kids. All right. Do we have any more questions? Okay. Well, if you guys submit any questions, we'll make sure to answer them. And you guys have any final thoughts at all?
Nope. Just get out there, ask your questions, and advocate.
Just do it. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for participating in our very first Foster Facts Live event. If something that we said here inspired you and motivated you to be a foster parent, please give us a call at 1-866-90-CHILD. Again, that number is 1-866-90-CHILD. Again, we will take you as you are. We don't care about your home. We don't care about, if you have pets, as long as they're friendly. And we are open to you loving our children. Also, the Pride classes. As I mentioned, I didn't tell you what time frames they are. So there are 3. They're either going to be 8-week weeknight classes from 6 to 9:15 p.m. or we do have an expedited 4-week Saturday class from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. If you would like more information, please feel free to visit us at www.protectandinspire.org. Again, that's www.protectandinspire.org. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to our very first Foster Facts Live with community-based care. See ya.